Hey everybody, and welcome back to the Flourgoldwizards channel. Today we really wanted to get out to the creek. It's been a little while, but Mother Nature had other ideas. The water is so high in all the creeks that we like to go to, it's going to be impossible. Let's go take a little look at the rain gauge just from yesterday. Yeah, let's go take a little look at it. We don't want Rexy to get washed away in the creek. Let's take a little peek here. We got about 4 5/8 inches of rain just yesterday. It never stops raining around here, I'm telling you what. Can't mow my lawn. Little Rigby's sick of sloshing around in the puddles everywhere, aren't you? But I do, however, happen to have some really cool pay dirt straight from Alaska from my buddy Tony. And he runs the Glacier Creek Mining Company. And while he's not mining, he works in another mine somewhere else, mining zinc up there. And he's got his own little plane. And he cruises around and he goes and checks out all these old dredges like you see on the shows Gold Rush and all that, those great big bucket chain dredges, all those abandoned ones. Well, he goes and mops those babies up and gets the dirt out of the nooks and crannies. And every once in a while, he's kind enough to send us some dirt. And I have 4 bags of said dirt. Let's take a little peek. And here are said dirt bags right here. Now this one says Dredge Cons. Now this probably is coming right out from underneath where the sluice runs are, one of those big old abandoned dredges right there. This stuff is incredibly dirty, and there's, you could find nuggets all the way down to minus 100 mesh gold in this stuff. He specifically told me to watch out for nuggets. And this stuff here is just off the ground around one of those things out there. I'm not really sure exactly what that means, but we're gonna find out. And here's another bag right here of just heavies, and he really does get some heavy material out there. Look at this magnet. It's just full of magnetite and all kinds of steel parts and this and that. A lot of rust. And this one here is Super 19, heavy, very hard, con of con, which basically says concentrate of concentrate with steel and hematite and all that. So I expect there to be really good gold in that one. So I think we're going to get started with this Super 19 heavy, very hard con of con with steel and hematite. This stuff is notoriously dirty. Now I'm going to take a small scoop out of here, put it in a pan, and show you just how dirty this dirt is. And then we're going to do some classifying, because this stuff, all of this stuff is notoriously hard to pan. It consists of little chips of bedrock and misshapen rocks of all kinds, and they're really heavy, and it's tough to move the gold, or to move without the gold moving with it, especially when a lot of this gold is going to be black iron coated. You can miss nuggets like that. So I'll show you guys how dirty this dirt is, and then we'll do some classifying, clean this stuff up, and then we'll do some panning. I might even break out a sluice. Who knows? Well, it's 5 o'clock somewhere. Gonna grab a little something out of the fridge of wonder just to get the day a rolling. That's right. All right, here we go. Let me grab a scoop out of this stuff. Go ahead, take a little sniff. Yep, smells like Alaska. All right, I'll grab, look at there, some sticks and roots and such. Oh, I think that might even be a nail. Yep, a big chunk of wire or something. So we'll take one scoop out of there. And yep, it looks really heavy. We'll dump that on in there and we'll give it a little swirl around. And look what happened to my water. Instantly destroyed. Instantly destroyed. And you definitely want to keep your water relatively clean to be able to see the gold better, because like I said, that some of that gold is going to be black, and you definitely could miss even large nuggets, multiple gram nuggets. And I do see some gold up at the top there. Right there is a pretty nice looking flake. Yeah, right there. Those are some nice little flakes right there. Let me get my finger in there. And you see how they're not like super shiny gold. They're kind of discolored. Well, at the end, when we get all the gold out of this stuff, I'll show you the before and after. The before being how dark and discolored all this gold is in a pile. And I'll add just a little bit of muriatic acid, let it soak for a couple minutes, stir it around, and it'll be just as shiny gold as gold gets. Beautiful stuff for sure. So let's begin. And before we actually get started, I'm going to clean this little bit up right here. Now because that nail was in there, I'm assuming that there's going to be lots of magnetics in there. And it's just less material you have to worry about processing and losing your gold up against. So I just grabbed my Wizard Team magnet right here. Look at that. There's the whole team. And we'll go ahead and swirl it around in there. Now it's important when you're trying to remove magnetics, you either do this 100% dry or 100% wet underneath the water. Otherwise your gold might stick to it. Now I prefer to do it when it's wet because some of the gold up there is so darn fine. It'll stick to those rocks and you might lose a bunch of it. So there's the magnetics and there's a ton of it. That's for sure. But that's all stuff we don't have to worry about panning through or running down a sluice. So we'll take those magnetics, throw them right in that bucket. And we'll begin with a 1/4 inch classifier. Now he said you might want to watch out for nuggets. So I'm going to classify this stuff down into a nugget size. We'll go with a 10 mesh. Right here, and mesh just means how many small holes are in a square inch. So there's 10 small holes in a square inch in that classifier. And here's a 40 mesh and a 100 mesh. I can usually do pretty good with this combination right here. So I'll go ahead and dump that right in there. Let me give that just a little bit of a splash. There we go. And we'll shake that down and see what doesn't go through the 1/4 mesh. There it is. That's just out of that 1 spoonful. And we're going to save all that stuff and root around through it and check for black nuggets because they're in there. Now here's a tool that can be pretty useful if you're not sure if something might be gold and just covered with black iron staining. Now all this material is pretty good size right here. And let me go ahead and I'll show you this gold nugget. Now I pulled this out of my personal stash right here just to show you. Now I'll put that down right there and I'll go ahead and I'll grab my little carrot here and stick it on there. See that? That size of nugget will sound this thing right off. So I'll go ahead and remove said nugget, doink, and we'll go ahead and we'll root around in there right after I get the magnetics out. So we'll go ahead and take out the magnetics. Look at that. All those would sound off on that thing. So I'll go ahead and we'll get rid of those if we can. There we go. And we'll give her one more round here. See if we can't get any more out. Just like that. Okay. Then we'll take our little metal detector here and we'll run it over all these larger bits. And if one of these just happens to be gold, I guarantee you this size of pieces, this thing will go off as shown earlier. Just like that. So I'm starting to feel like I don't have any larger gold in here. You know, I'm gonna definitely get it up close and personal to my head just to make sure, but it's not looking good. Where's that nugget again? Right there. Yep. Nope, I don't think we have any gold. Oh well, we have, uh-oh, what's that? Oh, that's a little chunk of wire. I tell you what. All right, so here's all the material that went through the 1/4 mesh classifier. I better do it the non-riffle side. We'll go ahead and dump that in there, just like that. I have to push some of that off in there. There we go. Yeah, grab my little squirter. There we go. Piece of cake. Almost a piece of cake. And it's in there. And we'll repeat this process till we have all our classifications done. Then we're gonna rinse out all this mucky water. There we go, just like that. Doing it like this saves a lot of water too. If you're running back and forth to the house all darn day, I can do this with about 5 gallons probably. There we go. Now that size there is still pretty large, and it's nothing to go ahead and classify this stuff up. And we've got it. There we go. We'll dump that in there and continue. And we got it. Now we've got our plus 10 material right here, and that looks to be just about the bulk of it right there. There's an awful lot of material in there, and this one I think is just a little bit less, and that being the plus 40 material. Here's our plus 100 material, and that's actually a pretty decent pile. And surprisingly enough, we'll get back over here where the action is. This is all the material that was in the minus 100 right here. So we might as well go ahead and we'll pan this stuff back first. And there's not a whole lot of material, which would lead me to believe that there's probably not all that much gold in this material. And I'll try to do that left-handed or with one hand here. And we'll do this together. And here we go. And it looks like there's a couple little chips of rock in there. Yep, off they go. That is definitely not gold. And I don't see a whole lot, but there are a couple of really small little dots up at the top there. So let me get this pulled back all the way with 2 hands, and we'll see what's in there. And it's not very much at all. Just a couple little speckles right there. Let me see if I can get that up close and personal. Yep, that's gold all right, just not much of it. Got it. All right, let's move right on up to the next size, the plus 100. And we'll go ahead and put that in a slightly larger pan. This one right here. There we go. Give her a couple of squirtings. Oh, I did that right on the riffles. Don't do that. Dang it. It just makes it harder to get out of there. But we got it. All right. Let's take a little gander at what's in the plus 100s right here. And another reason I like to classify is if everything's the same size, the gold is almost guaranteed to be the heaviest thing in the pan. And the golden rule is gold wins. This is all gravity separation. When you're sluicing, that's gravity separation. You're counting on Mother Nature to drop the heaviest of the material to the bottom. And that's what this is all about. All this cleaning and classifying. Well, I clean it so I can actually see what I'm doing. If I was trying to pan in that filthy, dirty, disgusting, dirty dirt before, I would probably be missing gold. Now my water is all crystal clear. I've got a little bit of jet dry in there, and we can do what we will at this here. Now all this material is going to be the same size, piece of cake. Let me get this down a little further, and we'll take a look at it together. Now we are really, really close. I left that material there on purpose just to show you the color of the gold. All that stuff up on top, those little flaky looking flakes, that's gold right there. And there's still a little bit mixed in with this stuff here. And it's taking on the color of its surroundings right here. You see that? Here's all the material, non-gold bearing. I'm really taking my time at this. But that gold blends in like crazy. So if you have this stuff all classified to the same size and you take your time, you can definitely separate out little pieces like those. Yep. And there it is, right there. Not all that much, but every little bit counts. So we'll go ahead and snatch that on up. Got it. And we'll move on to our next size. It's the plus 40. Yeah. Let's go ahead. I don't know if I'm going to pan all this at once. I think I'm going to do half at a time. Roughly half. There's a good pile right there. We'll go ahead and pan that out. Looks to be pretty close to even. This stuff's just so darn heavy that I would just as soon do half at a time and make sure I get it all. That's right. You never want to pan too much at a time. That's when you start losing stuff too. so I can go ahead and feel pretty confident I can pan out some of this stuff off the top. Gold this size right here is going to be pretty good and heavy. Even if it's a big flat flake, I think you'll still get it to sink through that material and down to the bottom of the pan. So I'll go ahead and pull that back now that there's about maybe a big tablespoon or so. And we'll see if there's anything in it. Let me get my glasses down on my nose here. Let's see. Yeah, I see some pieces. Let's see if I can get one separated right here. Absolutely, there's one. And right there it is. You can tell it's gold, but it's still fairly discolored. Right there you are. That's right, you gotta be careful. All right, let me get this baby pan through. And the gold from that half right there. Nice chunky little bits. Still good and discolored. Tough to catch, that's for sure. Let me do this other half right here. We'll put it all together and see what she looks like. And yeah, there's magnetics in this stuff too. And we got it. Here's all the gold from our plus 40 material right here. Yeah, pretty good amount of pieces. Yeah, that stuff adds up quick. You notice it's all brown and red. Very few are actually gold colored. Very few. But we're going to fix that. First, we got to pan out our plus 10 material right here. If we get any pieces of gold in this plus 10 stuff, that will be fantastic because it'll add up quick. There's some larger bits than, just right at 10 mesh because we went from 1/4 to 10. So who knows what the heck we're going to find in there, but we're definitely going to have to take our time. All right, we'll just go ahead and do maybe halvesies again, or I'll break this up into thirds. We're really going to have to inspect this stuff well. There we are. There we go. I'm not even going to pan it out. I'm just going to go piece by piece by piece. So I'm going to grab me a chair, sit down, and prepare to focus. Focus, focus. Man, the time sure flies when you're having fun. You know what I mean? Oh, man. Now, when I'm really trying to be careful, I'm searching for little nuggets and chunks. I like to just sit here and take a little brush, and I'll go over pieces just like this to make sure I don't lose any. If I got a couple pieces or whatever that look, suspicious, I'll just take and put them off to the side right there, and I'll smash them with a pliers. If it's gold, it'll be malleable. If it's rock, it'll crush up into smithereens, never to be seen again. So we got nothing in the first third or so I just dumped this all in there. I'll take my time going through it just like this. Well, we didn't find anything in the big stuff, but I do have a few pieces that are looking a little suspicious. So I'm going to hit them up with the linesman's pliers, see if maybe they're coated with something or it's just shiny looking rocks. And here are set pieces right here. Yeah, I've seen gold all the way black before, and this one was just reacting in the pan a little funny. That one there just kind of looked different than the rest of them. And right here, I do believe that might be a couple of small chunks of gold. It's got a little bit of gold color to it. And this one kind of the same, just suspicious looking. And this one just kind of looks like a starfish. So I'll grab a hold of that big black one, give it a crush. And it just crushed into a million pieces. Definitely not gold. I'll grab this little orange one. Looks like it might have some quartz on it. And that one also broke into a trillion little pieces. Let's grab a little starfish. That is, I know what that is. That's a little teeny weeny chunk of like a classifier. It's made out of copper. Or maybe not copper, but it's not magnetic. It is not gold. It breaks up and it's gray colored inside. Not gold. And we'll grab this last larger bit here. And, well, that one didn't crush into a million pieces, but it crushed into about 8 pieces. Not gold. All these other little teeny weeny ones, it might be a little too small. So I'm going to throw them under my microscope. We'll take a look at them up close. And we've got them down in a little blue Flourgoldwizard pan. Let's fire up the old Tom Love here. I absolutely love this thing. Love it. Especially for identifying stuff up close. Well, that's because that's what it's made for. And we'll get down into that realm right there. And we'll see if we can get those underneath here. There we go. I can turn that pan a little bit. And I'll get a little closer. Where's that button? Right there. Well, I don't know. Just kind of looks like some kind of mishmash to me. I do not believe that's gold. No, sir. Well, oh well. But this, however, is all the gold we got out of that one bag right there. Pretty good. Now, let me get this down into focus here one time. And down we go. Let's take a little look. Yeah, there it is. That looks pretty darn good. Now you can see that gold is coated with like a black iron coating. I'll see if I can move it on over. See how dirty looking that gold is? There's a couple of non-gold particles in there. But look at that piece in particular right there. That is filthy, filthy gold and easy to lose 100%. So what I'm going to do is throw this dirty, dirty, dirty looking gold in some acid. Just a little bit of muriatic acid. See how dark that is? Watch this. Let's take a few drips. Stick it in there like such. I'll just dump this right in there. Splat. Just like that. I'll give that about 5 minutes, and that is going to be as gold colored as you can imagine. And voila! There it is. Nice actual gold colored gold. Looky there. That's some pretty stuff. That's just one of them bags. I'm going to dry this stuff up. We're going to weigh it. And here's our beautiful gold now. Actual gold colored gold. So we'll tap that into my little dish here. See what we come up with. Clunk, 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 clunk. We have 0.37 of a gram. Yeah, not too darn bad. Hey, hey, hey. Now, that was a lot of fun, but I was kind of hoping to see copious amounts of gold. I don't expect Tony to ship me copious amounts of gold every time he sends me a bag, but they are all labeled different. Now, we're probably running on 2.5 going on 3 hours of filming this baby right now. So I'm just going to grab one of these other bags, dump it all in a pan, see what's at the bottom. Let's go ahead and try these Dredge cons. That sounds interesting. Ooh, there's a lot of really fine material in there. Let me switch on over to the other side. And we'll get that good and wet. Oh, is that stuff filthy. Just filthy. Look at it did to my water. But there's some good, decent sized chunks of stuff down in there too, like that there. All right, there's plenty of jet dry in this water. Look at it did. Holy smokes. I'll just get this stuff up pretty close here. We'll pull it back, see if we can't find something awesome at the bottom. I mean, it says Dredge cons, right? It's got to be good. All right. Let me put some clean water in there. I'll stir it up a little bit. Dump that dirty water out. And there. Now we'll be able to see what the heck we're doing. All right. I tell you. All right, now that we've got some clean water in there, this was incredibly fast. I pulled it back really fast just to get down to the bottom of the back end there, and it was well worth it. That has way more copious amounts of gold than that other bag did. I should have done this one first. I tell you what, but you get the picture. It's loaded and nice pieces too. So that's what we do when the cricks are unworkable because of 5 inches of rain in one day. Holy wow. That is a great way to go through material. It's incredibly dirty. The gold's dirty. So if you classify it, at least you stand a better chance of spotting that dirty gold rather than letting it get by you. Maybe I missed a little bit of gold today, but it would have been absolutely 100% coated with iron staining and black. Anybody could miss that right there. But I guarantee we got 99.9% of the gold. And we've got our work cut out for us. There's 3 more bags of that stuff sitting over there. That'll take me a couple of hours each to go through. And you guys don't want to see me do that. You'll be sitting here watching this all day long. So I hope you guys enjoyed what we did do. We sure did. So until the next episode, like, share, subscribe. Please do leave a comment. Helps build our channel. Flourgoldwizards out. Oh, hey, look, it's raining again. Weird.
Weird.